Donald Morton.
Dr. Donald Morton.
Donald Morton.
Dr. Donald Morton.
Dr. Donald Morton.
Dr. Donald Morton. Dr. Donald Morton is an award-winning social entrepreneur known for his innovative social solutions.
Based on this fatherhood and manhood issue in droves, in incredibly large numbers. And I felt it necessary for someone to have a voice like yourself to do the work of restoring men in our society. And I've been doing that work ever since.
His latest solution is expressed as the CEO of Remand.
So Remand, the nonprofit, is about helping brothers that are coming out of prison, brothers that are dealing with child support, brothers that are the most marginalized of our communities, helping them with their character and the institutions that impact them. And then the LLC, our for-profit arm, is really attempting to address the CEOs and CFOs and entrepreneurs and people like that say, look, I got issues too as a black man. My issues are a bit different because I'm in the C-suite. And how it plays out in the C-suite is very different than how it plays out on the block and those brothers that are coming out of re-entry. But here's a deal. All of us the same, for real, for real.
Dr. Morton is the former executive director of the Complexities of Color Coalition. As executive director of the coalition, he worked to congregate Wilmington, Delaware's African American community in order to create comprehensive strategy to influence institutions, policies, and laws. Dr. Morton has over 25 years of experience in African American community leadership. Remand is deeply personal. While he's glad that thousands of men are on this journey with him, it was started because he needed liberation. He was broken and bound, and he was fighting to put his life back together after divorce, infidelity, business challenges, bankruptcy, and a life destroyed by being the worst liar ever. Yes, Dr. Morton was a liar until he faced himself and proved his signature science, the character arc. Then and only then was he ready to lead men to learn and live the science of being Remand.
What's up, y'all? Hey, listen, I need y'all to do me a favor. Let me know whether or not you can hear me. I'm bringing the brothers on in just one moment. I'm outside today, and it's bugs. It's my neighbors are doing some construction, so yeah. Let me know whether or not I'm good. Type it in the comments for me. Listen, before I bring the brothers up, it's our normal cast of brothers, Dr. Leroy McKenzie Jr. and Coach Walter Sellers. Before I bring them up, thank you for all of your support, for every person who has commented and shared. This is 10 years of me having overcome cancer and me being 10 years cancer free. It's a big deal for me. And so I'm incredibly excited. Let me see what this says. Okay, Dr. Leroy says we can hear you clearly. Thank you, man. Thank you for letting me know. All right. So let me bring on the brothers. Make sure that you guys welcome them. Let me bring on, he was first to the Black Room, Coach Walter Sellers. He is at his place of business. What's up? He's got a broom.
Listen,
he's got a broom in hand. Yeah, and so this is not a man. Is bugs out here. Y'all should see my cutie. My cutie is on my right hand side fighting bugs. She doesn't do bugs well. So she's fighting bugs. Coach, what's happening, man? Before I bring on Dr. Leroy McKenzie Jr., looks like
It
you
has been a hellacious week this week. It's been dumb busy.
yeah,
And let me tell you something about merchant capital accounts. Merchant capital accounts are great
yeah,
because they let you process cards and do all that type of stuff.
yeah,
However, they have their
yeah,
downfalls. So
yeah,
if you want to withdraw your money right away, they
yeah,
charge you a fee.
yeah,
I try
absolutely.
not to pay a fee. But,
Yeah,
you know, if somebody flags fraud on the account because they don't recognize the charge, it
yeah.
will freeze your merchant capital account.
Oh
So be
wow.
sure that you read all the bylaws of your
Yeah.
merchant capital account because they can freeze it up to 30 days depending on how much they're claiming fraud. So just
Wow.
to
Yeah,
well,
I've never had that happen. Shout out to Stripe.
that's why
Um,
you
yeah,
that's who I
I've
use
never
to
had that
Stripe. So
happen
here's
with
what happened.
Stripe.
I had a client who has a recurring charge
Yeah,
and they lost their credit card while on vacation. So they
yeah,
went back and after they recognized some charges.
yeah,
My old business name was Business X, but my new business name is Butterfly Effect. On
yes,
my merchant capital account, one of the oversights you have when you change your business names, your EIN stays the same, so that's the same, but your DBA can change. If you don't update
yeah,
that and people don't recognize it, yeah, they'll change it as
yeah,
fraud.
for sure, for sure,
And
for
when that
sure.
total amount is over $1,000, Stripe will freeze your account for up to 30 days and
Yeah,
not make any payments out. They'll take payments in, they just
yeah,
not
yeah,
going to
they
pay you
won't.
out.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah. Well,
So I
yeah,
was on the phone for about on a Saturday night for over 2 hours getting it
yeah,
resolved between
yeah,
me, the bank that the customer had, and the customer in Stripe. So yeah,
yeah. Somebody gonna run
yeah.
me my money. Somebody gonna run me. I'm a gangster. Leroy, I'm a gangster. Good afternoon, or yeah, is it afternoon? Good afternoon to you, bro. I'm a gangster. Somebody gonna run me my money. President of the bank, vice
It
president of
was
the
tough.
bank, whoever they deal with over in China. Somebody gonna run me my money. Uh,
Yeah, well, that bank with JP
right.
Morgan Chase thing, now we had an American speaker. So,
That's who
but
I deal with
we
too. I
get
deal with
the
J.P. Morgan Chase. They're our bank for our business. Um, I got a couple banks for my personal. My wife does too. My wife got more bank accounts than me, Leroy. What's that about? I need y'all brothers to tell me what that actually means. Leroy, before we get into
The
that, man, say good afternoon to the people.
good people. What's going on? I can't say a beautiful day in the neighborhood up here because it's raining. It's been
Is it
raining
really?
all week. Yeah, it's been raining all weekend. It was supposed to rain all weekend, so it's been yeah. So outside, it might not be sunshine and all of that, but it's always as my football coach used to say back in the day, it don't rain on my football field.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right, bro. That
so
that
is
is
it
that
because
is
the
that.
water bottles were that heavy, Leroy, or what was the story? You didn't want the bottle slip
say
out your
it,
hand? How did it work?
say that again.
You didn't want the water bottles to slip out your hand, or it was the towels were getting through? What was the story?
No, it was. I think it was I believe it was a day that it was raining. I think the guys, complained about having to practice in the rain in the
He'll check
mud.
on it in a minute,
It was
Mama. He'll check on it in a minute.
like he was like, no, it don't rain on my football field. You got to be prepared in all kinds of conditions and weather because the
Yeah,
football game is not
yeah,
going to stop because
yeah.
it's
Because
raining
it's
outside.
raining.
They don't stop.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It
Everybody
don't
don't got
stop.
a dome.
Yep.
Yeah, everybody doesn't have a dome. So uh so I want to say good afternoon to everybody. You guys know that I'm on kind of telling this story, right? And it's always good to be alongside the brothers, Coach Walter Sellers and Dr. Leroy McKenzie Jr. It's always good to be amongst the brothers. And that's really what I wanted to talk about today. You good, babe? She don't do bugs. Leroy, I'm finding out so much about we're sitting outside in our backyard, um, and on the little patio thing, and she's just looking around her feet. No, nothing's even touching her.
Y'all didn't get some.
She's
You didn't get some off. She should have had some off the spray on
She's
her.
looking.
So you gotta
She's looking.
repel
She's looking around her
some
feet
of the
just to kind of
bugs.
make sure that nothing is on her. Yeah. So I know what to do now in the house. Just run a feather over her leg or something like that. Watch her trip out. Yeah, because you know. So, good afternoon to everybody. Do me a favor. Let us know who you are, where you're watching from. We are streaming everywhere except for the Remand Group. We are streaming everywhere except for the Remand Group. In case you guys didn't know, if you don't have a group that you run, Facebook has changed all of its third party authorizations. So it no longer allows StreamYard, Zoom, and these different third party apps to stream directly into the groups with the third party apps. They don't allow that anymore. Now, I've got a great friend, Fred Fitzgiles, and Fred has set it up so that we can actually do that. But it's a couple of other extra steps that I really just don't feel like going through all the time, and so I didn't do it today. Um, but yeah. So that's the reason why we are not inside the Facebook group, and also today was more about talking to the general community about my journey as it relates to overcoming cancer. So I've got the brothers on today, and May is also Leroy. Don't or correct me if I'm wrong, Coach. Correct me if I'm wrong. May is also Mental Health Month, right? Where we get a chance to really address the issues around mental health, and particularly in our case, the mental health of Black men. Uh, so we're really going to dive into some things today. Before we do, Coach and Leroy, how I hear Coach's weekend has been a little rough. It's a lot of rough when they freeze your money. That's a lot of rough, right? Leroy,
Even if it's only
how's your
47
week? Yeah, absolutely. Leroy, how's your weekend been, bro? You said it's
No, it's just
raining. It's because you were a little arrogant, Leroy. The other day I was talking to you. You was talking about the weather and how good the weather was, right? But you also in the midst of that arrogance, you did say, "Yeah, I don't know how it's going to be a couple of days from now, but right now is cool."
no, absolutely. Yeah, and it was the only thing about the rain was it did postpone my family's foundation. I know you know that I have a
Yeah,
my family has a foundation where we are in the midst of. And Coach, you're like this. We're in the midst of we partnered with the school with two elementary schools, and we're building gardens in at those schools. And it's going to be vegetables, fruits and vegetables that the kids are going to be growing there, along with our partners, First Fruits. And it's about teaching the kids about a healthy living, eating lifestyle. It's about doing all those positive things that the kids should learn about agriculture and all of those things. And today was supposed to be our build day, but unfortunately, since it's raining, we had to postpone that for about 2 weeks now, and then we'll have it actually up, and it's going to be great. We're everybody's excited about it. The students are excited about it. They're going to be growing, I think, spinach, cabbage. Coach, they even gonna be growing beets. I don't know why. I don't know why them kids like beets, but they chose to grow beets as one of the vegetables that they wanted to grow, and a couple
I
other
think it's
things in there. So
headphones.
that's
I think it's headphones, Leroy. They think it's headphones.
wait a minute. Say it again.
They think it's headphones.
Oh, I know, right? Yeah, I can't. I've always hated beets, but I'm sorry, I can't do it. I can't do it. Them things turn my stomach. But so, we were supposed to do that this weekend, but we had to postpone it. So, other than that, Donald, you saw we installed our new pastor for our church, new psalmist, Walter Scott Thomas Jr. phenomenal preacher. He tore the service up today, talking about I owe him. I owe him. Talking about owing God, standing on business, but I owe God. And it's just phenomenal. So installing him yesterday, and it was just a beautiful service. Our bishop, Bishop Walter Thomas, was he's been the pastor for 49 years now. And when he leaves, it'll be 50 years because he's still going to be around, but he's not going to be doing the day-to-day actions and stuff like that. So being a part of that yesterday and service today, it's been a great weekend. Like I said, in spite of the rain, it's been a phenomenal weekend for me. So so I'm good.
Yeah, outstanding, gentlemen. I really want to dive in and give ourselves as much time as we possibly can to today's topic. Um, as everybody knows, I've been posting about it here lately. Um, May the 8th, which is next Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, coming May the 8th marks 10 years of me being cancer free, right? And so I thought it I thought it important to kind of share the journey, right? Oftentimes, and the truth about the journey, um, because we have a superhero syndrome, right? We have a superhero syndrome where we act like we good all the time, and that it can be very easy, coach and doctor say, "Hey, I overcame cancer," and not express all that was running through my mind, the fears of hearing cancer, all of those kinds of things that come because they expect us to be strong all the time, and because they expect us to be strong all the time, we kind of try to show up strong all the time without really acknowledging that there are some challenges that come when you have an adverse reality like that. So yesterday, I kind of announced a journey that we would be taking. Today, I want to talk about um, how all of that played on my mind. Right, a coach. I want to begin with you, man. And let me just kind of share the scripture that is kind of the foundation, right? If you've read the Remand book, and if you have not read the Remand book, you should get the Remand book. Um, there it is right there, www.theremandbook.com. Get a copy of the book. In that book that I wrote, we use the scripture, this scripture right here. Let me see. Yea, though I walk through the valley, y'all know this one, right? Psalm 23. It's probably one of the most powerful Psalms, well-known Psalms, coach, whether whether you're a Christian or not, right? You don't even have to be a Christian to know Psalm 23, 23rd Psalm. Please, no one ever approach me and say the 23rd chapter of Psalms, because I'm doing my best not to cuss anymore. Um, Coach does my cussing for me now.
Yep.
Right? So, he does it very well. Right? The 23rd Psalm, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. And what I really want to talk about is the thou in this scripture. Because, of course, we know the thou in this scripture, thou art with me, God is with us. But what I've also found, and you'll hear me talk about it in just one moment, what I also found is being able to walk through difficult challenges. The thou that is with me is not just God, but family, friends, community, people that have your back. Um, and sometimes, coach, as brothers, I want you to talk about this. Sometimes, as brothers, we really do try to deal with all that we deal with in isolation, right? Like we got it. And it's not that we're not strong, because we are. Black men have had to be strong. We are probably we are the strongest, most resilient, brilliant people on the planet. There is nothing like a black man. But bruh, like I'm grateful that I had a plethora of people, right? Family, friends, brothers who stepped up that had the same issue in times past and let me know I was going to be okay. Because what, Coach, when I heard cancer, that's not a word that you can just ignore or take lightly. Cancer is a bully. Listen to me, y'all. For those of you that don't know, cancer is a bully. It doesn't matter what type of cancer it is. Cancer is a bully. And its name, when you say its name garners your attention. Like it'll make you think about your own mortality. It'll make you think about what's about to take place, the journey, so on and so forth. Coach, can you kind of talk about the importance of making sure that we have a community of brothers when you're walking through a valley, when you're in a dark moment, when you're in a black space, the importance of having someone by your side. We got God. We got that, right? That's a given. We know God is with us. But can you kind of talk more importantly about having a community, a family, friends, and how careful you have to be about that community as it relates to who you let in, and when you're dealing with something like that, you can't let everybody in. Talk about that a bit, bro.
Well, that's so it's a tough one, right? You know, our first inclination, as you alluded to, was I got this. I can do it by myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can speak to my own personal story a little bit. My father passed away, transitioned because of cancer in 2009. Okay. I just sold my car wash in 2009. I had a car wash a long time ago. Okay. And I had $1,012,000 something in the bank when I sold the car wash. My dad transitioned on November 9th, 2009. And by February 2010, I gambled away and drank away $1 million. $1 million.
Wow.
Real money.
I need you to go. I need you to go back because you
Mm-hmm.
skated over that, and
Mm-hmm.
that's a lot of paper, Coach. That's a lot of paper. So go back
Yeah.
to when you said you had how much money in the bank?
$1,012,000.
Wow.
$1,012,000 in the bank. Go ahead,
Yeah.
I'm listening.
I sold the car wash. My father transitioned, and for my whole family, you know, at least on this side, my mom's side of the family, because my dad's side of my sperm donor side of the family, I didn't know until later on in life. So for my whole family, I had just been thrust into the only male on this side of the family.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
So I could not cry at my father's funeral because I had to be there actively for my sisters and my mom and my dad's other children. I had to actively be the only one to stand in the gap. You know, Tracy and I weren't married yet. We just moved in together. She's in pharmacy school, and it's a tremendous amount of pressure that you don't realize you have until you're having it. And I just started my journey to become a Mason. So I just getting familiar with the brothers, and I wasn't ready to share that emptiness that I had. And my good friend that I work with, he and I would gamble together, right? And he was, he had a couple of nail salons and other stuff, but so we go gamble together. And there were up days and there were down days. I'll never forget the worst day that I had the tables. I was up $65,000 and down $40,000 in the same night. So $105,000 swing.
Right.
In one night. I mean, we're betting $5, $10, and sometimes even $25,000 a hand.
Yeah.
Right. And And blackjack is a very fast game. If you're not paying attention to the table, it'll get away from you real fast. And when you're distracted because of the emotional toll that you're dealing with by yourself, and the only people that are there, the casino people, right? And they're always happy to see you, right? Man, you get all the alcohol you want, all of that. I walked in, hey, Mr. Sellers, how you doing? Hey, what's going on? Like, my wife didn't quite understand at the time how much I gambled. One day we went to the Regatta for a different party, and I typed in my player code into the screen. I hadn't gambled in over a year. Within 1 minute, 2 hosts came over to me and her. I'm like, Mr. Sellers, it's so great to see you again. We haven't seen you in so long. We want you to come to this room with us and come meet Tracy Morgan, the last show he had before he had his car accident. And we were having dinner with Tracy Morgan just because I used to that's how much I used to gamble, right? And when I was able to talk to her about it, she said, listen, either you get help or we're going to get out and we ain't going to be together no more. So I talked to my friend, one of my brothers, and he had just finished Alcoholics Anonymous. And the hardest thing for me to do was to admit to a group of strangers that I'm a gambler and I have a problem.
Why, Coach? Why was that difficult?
Because owning the failure to other people that you don't know, for a very prideful and egotistical man, is a very, very hard thing to do.
There it is. Yeah.
And I always, as a lot of Black men do, we pride ourselves on the ability to get over and get through. We can always do more. My wife says sometimes, Walter, I know that we'll never be broke because if you need to, you can be a blunt instrument and go work 25 hours, 24 hours a day if I have to. Right. And that dark place that I had to go to is a very, very, that valley that we just talked about in our scripture. Yeah. It's the valley, right? And knowing that you're with me, knowing that God is with me is one thing, but God, while he's a physical being, he's not a physical being, right? But having the brothers who can not just be there, but understand and relate. I think that's why I'm drawn to you, Dom, is because I know that you can relate to a lot of the struggles that I've had. Even though you may not have gambled away $1 million, there are other things that we can balance on. Where I can be authentic with you. So that leads to the next part, right? Is you have to have someone not only that you trust, but someone that has a complete, detailed understanding of whatever it is you're battling, or how to overcome a very, very similar battle. Because gambling, drinking, drugs, while it's not cancer, it is self-induced, and it can be like a cancer, as it will absorb and consume and metastasize through the rest of your life, like a wildfire, right? Yeah. So having someone and knowing someone that can relate to that type of issue, that type of matter. I mean, for me, with gambling, was always a lot of cash. I mean, I'd walk around with $10,000 in my pocket just because it was Tuesday. For me, it was Grey Goose because I love Grey Goose. But those two things together bring other issues, right? Other women, other shit that you don't necessarily, if you're unable to find balance and control it, it's going to consume you. And that's where that thing comes in with having a brother, having someone that can relate and understand, to be there, makes a difference. So finding the right person that you can trust, that you ain't gonna hear your shit out in the streets. When I was going through it, I could have never told anybody that I gambled $1 million, ever. Yeah. Right. But now I'm able to talk about it because I know that I ain't gambling no more. Right. Yeah. I ain't never gambling no more. If I pay $2 on the lottery because it's $1 billion, okay, that's not gambling. That's just I'm spending $2. But I'm not going to go to the black anytime soon. You know what I mean? I'm not doing that foolishness. So I'm willing to gamble, meaning I'll come and take the risk to build a business. Is it a gamble? Yeah, but I also understand what I must do if this thing starts going the wrong way, right? So I'm willing to take the risk and want to step forward, but having people behind you or beside you, not necessarily behind you, beside you, shoulder to shoulder, arm in arm, it's a lot different, knowing and picking the right people. It's going to take some time, right? Jesus didn't pick those 12 just because they're random brothers in the street. He picked those 12 for a very specific reason. You know,
And he also didn't pick those 12 over the course of a weekend. Sometimes
Right.
when we read the Bible, right, we can read the entire book of Matthew in an hour,
Mm-hmm.
and we think that Jesus's life happened over an hour. It didn't. Those are 3.5 years, of
Right.
ministry time. It's 30 years of his life, right? 30
Right.
years and then 3 years, right? 30 years and 3.5 years. So sometimes we try to really um, create this fast pace, particularly of
Mm-hmm.
choosing who's going to be around us.
Right.
We try to we kind of do that a little quicker than we really should. Hey, Leroy, coach talked about the ego of a man, right? He talked about, which I think is really key. If you guys, hopefully my earphones can muzzle some of this noise. If it can't, then I'll ask my questions real quick and give it to you guys. Um, he talked about the ego of a man. He talked about, doing things in isolation because of that ego, the arrogance of a man, right? Here's the truth though. Ego um, is not a bad thing. Unmanaged,
Mm-hmm.
unchecked ego is a bad thing. Brothers, we oftentimes our competitive nature, right, requires ego. like 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 I want to be the absolute best in my industry. When someone mentions, hey, who has an understanding of black men, who has an understanding of black businessmen, who has an like I want my name at the top of the charts. It takes ego to want that, right? Ego is not ego. This is something brilliant that Coach just talked about. Well, that's irritating me now. Can y'all still hear me? Is it
Mm-hmm.
is
Yeah,
it okay?
yeah.
Okay, all right. Um, Having so much ego that you can't tell anybody I'm failing. like like my life is unraveling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Leroy, what is it? Coach just described it, and I 100% agree. I 1000% agree. What lens do you have that says, why is it that brothers refuse? Because I deal with brothers every day, and brothers refuse to acknowledge my life is in shambles, my marriage is in shambles, my business is in shambles. So we have this facade, right, that we put on so that we don't talk to anyone. Leroy, what is that?
Well, what it is it's what we've been conditioned to think, do, and have since we were little kids. I guarantee you, all three of us and every other man that's listening to us here were told when we were little boys, suck it up, be a big boy, don't cry. You gonna be you when you are a man does not cry, no matter what. Whatever you're going through, you big enough that
Mm-hmm.
you're supposed to handle it. You're supposed to deal with it. And we do. That's what we're taught. From little boys, we're taught that there's nothing that is supposed to bother us.
Mm,
You talked about um, crying at your at the funeral, and there was probably only one time. I can't even think of it now. I don't think there was one time I remember seeing my father cry. He did his own father's funeral. He did the eulogy to my grandfather's funeral, and I never saw him if he did break down and cry. But that's what we are told as men, no matter how bad things are going. And even with you, with dealing with cancer, coach, losing all that money, you did not want anybody to
Yeah.
see you being in that position. Why? Because when we see ourselves in that way, we're seen as being vulnerable. We're seen as being weak. That's what we're afraid of. Other people seeing, oh, he's weak. He can't. I had to learn that lesson too. That yes, you have to have the ability to be able to lean. There's nothing wrong with people helping you because you can't. I've gone through it with my finances and everything. And I'm just like, I can't do this. Hurting, but feeling ashamed to have to even tell somebody about it. That's what we deal with, I believe. We don't want to deal with that shame. We don't want others to think that we don't have it all together. Even when it comes to our health, we could have the arm falling off, the eyeball sticking out. I'm good. I'm good. No, dude, you're not good. Go and take your butt to the hospital and
Mhm.
get some help. That's, that's what we. That's what
Boy,
we've
that's
been
so
conditioned to do.
wait. That's so true, boy. That's so true. I'm good. No, no, my man,
Yeah.
your intestines are on the floor. you're, you're, you're
You know,
not.
your foot is hanging off. No.
Yeah, your foot doesn't belong 10 feet away from you. Like
Right.
you're not okay. So let me say this. And it may be like unlike both of you gentlemen, I was not raised by my father. I was raised by my mother. My mother and father were married for the first 10 years of my life. And then, as you guys know my story, my dad moved on. Before he comes back home, he dies, right? So that I was never raised around strong men. My uncles are they do dudes, right? They do dudes. All of my uncles are like coach, like they all 6'2", 6'3". You know, they do dudes. But I didn't have strong relationship with them for the majority of my life because I was angry with my father, right? So I didn't want a replacement. I didn't want someone else. I wanted him. So I grew up with my mother, and this is my mother raised me, and I could tell my mother everything. There is not a conversation I did not have with my mom. So I learned what I have come to understand, coach, as the strength of vulnerability, not the weakness of vulnerability. It takes a man's strength to be transparent, to say, hey, I'm out of pocket right now. My money's funny.
Mhm.
I'm cheating on my wife. You guys know, Reman, we require
Mhm.
truth, right? We require truth. Ain't nobody gonna judge you, but we require you to tell you the truth. If you cheating on your wife, tell it. Like ain't nobody's gonna say, oh man, you shouldn't. Nobody's gonna do that. Like if you want to cheat on your wife, cheat on your wife. But this is what we want you to do though. Go tell her the truth. Go tell her the truth, right? So, coach, what do you because when I want to refer to what Leroy just referred to that you said, and I want to rephrase the language if I can. You said, um, you were thrust. God, I understand that. Like you were thrust into being the only male. Like you the man
Mhm.
now. My mom said to me before she died, son, you are the patriarch of the family.
Mhm.
And I said, yes, ma'am. And then it hit me like, nah, for real. Like I'm the patriarch of the family, right? That level of pressure, status, responsibility is a lot. When you said, coach, when you said I'm gonna ask permission to reframe it. And if you
Okay.
don't want me to back up against it, say, no, Donald, it was what it was. When you said I couldn't cry because everybody was relying on me to be this rock, right?
Mhm.
Is it possible that that was your mindset that you said, your mind says you can't cry, but the truth of the matter is, um, if we're ever going to shift the narrative of how black men show up, how Black men are being perceived, that we got to be able to say crying is not a sign of weakness. Being frustrated is not a sign of weakness. Not having it all together every day is not a sign of weakness. It really, quite frankly, vulnerability, being able to say, I'm not okay, things are challenging right now, is the ultimate mental and spiritual strength. So when you said you had to, was that your mindset saying you had to, or did you really, did you really have to?
I, it's been 15 years, Donald. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
I want to say it is because of the things around me, but I also know that I'm a trained salesman, right? And I train salespeople every day, right?
Yeah.
Being able to keep a happy face on was part of my day still. It's so much the fact that, I mean, my shirt says right there, right? It says billionaire right on the front. I am not yet a billionaire, but I will be the man I need to be a billionaire, right?
Yes.
So is it delusional to say I'm a billionaire, right? Is it factual yet?
Yes.
No. But will it happen? Am I the best trainer in the world yet? I have to believe it. I have to know it. So
absolutely.
During that time, I knew that the state of my mother, the state of my sisters, the state of my family was X. And I knew that I had to be Y in order to keep those X's on the rig, keep those on, right? So I would say yes and no. I think it's a blended answer. I don't know that in that instance, in that particular instance of my life, that it was a cognitive, let me just do this because of this. I think it was more of I'm being who I need to be for my family, regardless of how it leaves me, because it doesn't matter. Because, you know, and I'm still playing back 4 weeks ago during Resurrection Sunday, we talked about the only time that it mentions in the Bible that Jesus wept when he went to Lazarus' funeral, right? And right afterwards, he went to work, right? I think the issue that men face is the inability to regain control after the cry to go back to work.
I like that.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, they continue to stay in the emotional state. We're not men to be uncontrolled emotions, right?
Yes.
We're men to be controlled because someone has to keep thy foot, right? Nobody says they have to keep thine foot. Well, our job is to be that balance and to be the match. You know, even at first Thanksgiving, you know, after my dad passed, my grandfather passed, I didn't sit at the head of the table, and my mother and grandmother both actively required me before we could begin dinner. Walter, no, you sit here, right? You know, so it is a tough thing to deal with when you feel that you were unprepared, but then when you are prepared, then it can finally begin to release. I don't know that you're ever prepared to be the patriarch of your family, right? I don't think you're ever prepared for it, right? You know, especially in the type of society that we have today in America. I don't know that we're ever prepared for it because we don't have kings and queens and all that type of shit like they had in 1400s or whatever. So when we're there and we're 20 something years old, 30 something, early 30s, it's different. You know, the responsibility is huge. No, son, you can't do that. People in the family looking at you, you know. No, we're Black men. We show up a certain way because the world is looking at us. You know, I agree. Some of it is societal pressure that we can't cry, but I can't find a place at least in my own life. Maybe I need work there in my own life where it is an appropriate thing to ever display it because unfortunately we don't live in a world that takes to men, especially Black men, having that moment of emotion. And maybe the world needs to be better, but I
So let me
can't.
go there, because you mentioned
Sure.
maybe that's an area you need to grow, right? Because I think that's the case. Leroy had his hand up, and I want him to go here. But here's the deal. Remember that the core element of the adversity quotient and expanded adversity
Hmm.
quotient is
Right.
having extreme ownership.
Right.
That it means regardless of what the world says, none of that
Hmm.
matters to me, right? It doesn't,
Right.
societal pressure doesn't matter to me. How they say I should respond doesn't matter to me. How my family says I should respond doesn't matter to me, right? What matters
Hmm.
to me is me showing up authentically as God has created Donald, as God has created
Hmm.
Walter, as God has created Leroy. And the reason why that's important is because the moment I shift the responsibility of change and transformation to be on society and them changing so that I can change, I've already lost. I've
Hmm.
already lost because I've given up ownership. I've given up my internal locus of control. My locus of control
Hmm.
can never be external. It can never be based on what everybody else says, right? It's got to be based
Okay.
on Donald. So I say that because one of the I love, boy, I love this conversation. I want to go back to, I'm looking at bees, y'all, because if I get stung, if my computer, if y'all see it go crazy, it's because I'm running from a bee. I'm running from a bee, right? You also said, and this is where I want to throw it to you, Leroy, because you just went through this with your church. The question around whether or not we're ever prepared to take head of the table, right? To be patriarch is the other thing that we've got to be better at. We've got to be better at grooming the next generation, right? To step into the roles and preparing them. Dr. Walter Scott Thomas Jr. is prepared for the head of the table because Bishop Walter Scott Thomas prepared him. The issue for us as a community is that we don't oftentimes prepare the next generation. I've got a meeting with my sons, right, about the next generation and all that I've got to pass down. Um, so I think we have the responsibility, Coach, of who of rewriting the narrative that says, "Hey, be, the, there's so much that you said that I want to unpack, and we just ain't gonna have the time to do it." But it's such
Hmm.
brilliant comments that you've made, Leroy. What did you? Because I saw you raise your hand. Boy, my mind is swirling because the conversation that Coach has developed out of this is just a powerful, powerful conversation. Go ahead, Leroy. What were you wanting to interject?
No, I was just thinking as Coach was talking, and I wanted to ask him this question, Coach, if you will, when you had that feeling that you couldn't show emotion at that time, what was it about you that made you feel like if I do show emotion at this time, what was it that you were feeling that you felt like you couldn't show, the emotion, because that's a very emotional thing to go through. I remember telling my dad, and this was maybe few years before he passed away in 2012, and I just lost my grandmother on my mom's side. We just gone through a whole bunch of losing folks, and I remember telling him, like, Dad, when y'all go, I said, you and Mom, like, y'all gave me life. I said, when y'all go, I'm a boo-hoo, I'm a cry, I'm gonna do all that, you know. I said, because you all gave me life, I said, and I said, I've come to the realization that we either sit in that front row or we sit, or we're lying in the casket. That's where all of us are heading. Doesn't All of us are heading that way. And when I came to that realization, I was able to understand for myself to show the emotion. Yeah, I cried amongst myself and everything like that and let it out. And there was this roller coaster and all those things. But I learned that we have to get, we do, even when we feel as if we can't show emotion at that time, because we have to be strong, and we have to show strength. What was it that made you feel like you that you had to be there, which I understand that, but at the same time, you too had to be able to, kind of be able to show emotion too. I don't know if you feel the same
Because
way or not,
let me ask it a
but
different way. Let me ask it a different way, because I think that's a brilliant question. The you that was there, that didn't cry, that felt like, let me be this strong guy, right, for my family, for my, right? Was that even you? That ain't you.
I'm
The
gonna say it was
full
who I
you.
thought I needed
wow.
to be.
Say
It
it
was
again,
who
man.
I thought I needed to be,
Mm,
It
and
was
that's
it was the
the
you felt like you needed to be.
that's right.
Okay.
So again, I think the conversation, obviously, we're going to be on a time constraint at the risk of being bored. I claim to be the best trainer in the world. I
Absolutely.
use it as an example. I claim it because I have a different type of skill set. I'm not traditionally trained to be a trainer in this sense of the word.
Okay.
I am conditioned to sell people. I'm conditioned to get people to buy me or buy the product that I'm selling. But the way that it turns out in this business is I sell people on the fact that they can be more than they ever thought they could be with regards to being healthy, strong, etc. Right? When a woman presents to me and she's 5'6" and she weighs 180 pounds and she says, I want to lose 10 pounds, sis, no, you need to lose 50. I'll be too skinny. No, you won't. Because
I
you
ain't no
won't know the
woman.
true
I ain't
you.
no woman, but that was my testimony when you told me, Don, you're gonna lose 40. I said 40. Boy, they gonna think I got that stuff, man.
But so the reality is it's who I need to be to that person. So I can tell Don, when we train together, nah, nigga, you got more work to do. But a lady, I can't tell them in that same manner the same information. I have to become who I need to be to get the most out of that particular person. Is that inauthentic? I think it dances on the line, right? Because what I really want to say ain't what I'm saying. But the training that I have taught me that yes, you have to train people the same way, but you can't treat them the same way. You have to use different words to reach the different people.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I don't know if it's in scripture, but I was taught to the strong be strong, to the weak be weak, and that's the best way to get it out of other people. I can live my life a certain way. I can listen to the motivator I listen to. I can listen to David Goggins every freaking day because he tells me that that owning your mind and understanding your mind and being prepared and being in the suck every single day, willing to suffer. So when you get to something great, you will appreciate that something great. So at that time in my life, I thought that that's what I needed to be. Now, at 45 years old, my dad transitioned. Now, would I cry? The odds are high that I would, right? When my mom transitions and when it happens, the odds are high that I'll probably cry, But I just think that a lot of men are in that idea that I have to be X because of X, when the reality is not, bro. You got to be you because of you. Because if you don't, it will find you.
That's where I was going. There's a difference
it'll find you. It'll come out somewhere else, Donald. Listen, it'll come out somewhere else. It'll come out in food. It'll come out in gambling. It'll come out in drinking. It'll come out in running women. It'll come out in all that bullshit that you can't afford to be because that is just an outlet. It's not the real you. The real you is not, I'm struggling, right? The real you is I'm working 20 hours a week and it's a day and it's hard. And it's not hard because any other word than it's hard. And you ain't got to be hard to deal with it. Bro, you just got to be real with you to deal with it. If you can admit to yourself and to your friends and to your family and the people that are online with you, then you will begin to touch the surface of that next level. Like SEAL's got that saying, you only as strong as the guy next to you.
Yeah. That's I think that's a perfect way. We got about 4 minutes, and that's the perfect way to end. My issue, brothers, and I'm not talking just to the brothers my brothers that are here with doing the live with me. I'm talking to every brother that's watching, every brother that will watch. You want to talk about being strong, right? You want to talk about being more than you are. I dare you to let the real you shine. Not the one that you've pretended to be for decades because everybody likes him. Like at 54, I'll be 55, I'll be double nickels. Leroy is older
Yo,
than both of us. Well, if I'm old, what is Leroy?
really old.
Yeah.
Him and Moses were playing jacks in school. You and Moses were playing jacks in school. We were playing jacks, bro. Bouncing that ball, pick up them 5. I know what you was doing, Leroy.
Leroy took off of Moses' homework. Oh God. I think we have the I am fully good with who I am, right? Because the greatest peace a man can have is to be fully aware and fully allow who he is to shine on every single day, right? I want you guys to give a good 30 seconds. I'm gonna give mine at the end. But Leroy, talk about the importance, bro. Really, I want everyone to highlight the importance of having a community, the importance of
Yeah,
holding yourself
just real
accountable
quick.
with a community and going through life's challenges with a community of brothers. Go ahead, man.
Nah, man, and you said it's just that thing, brothers. And one thing that I've found is that we suffer and we think that we're the only ones going through it, and you're not. You're not the only one going through it. That's why it's important that we do share our stories because we let brothers know, other brothers know you're not the only one. That's why you sharing your story, bro, about 10 years cancer free and everything that you went through. That's absolutely phenomenal. Coach, you sharing your story, about what you went through. These are stories that tell brothers you're not the only one that's gone through something, that's going through something. And when you have people around you, when you have other brothers around you that you can be transparent with, it allows you to be able to heal, but it also allows them the freedom and permission to go through what they're going through. I'm gonna leave it at that, bro.
Yeah, that's really good, Coach.
Mhm.
Leroy said it gives us, amen. It gives us freedom, gives them permission. God, I love that. Gives us freedom, gives them permission. What do you say? What would you say to the brothers who are trying to battle it all in isolation, man?
Leroy said it. I mean, he said, whatever you're going through, you ain't the only one. You are not alone in this world, man. You know, we all talk about, I got to deal with this. No, you ain't the only one, Negro. You ain't the last one. You ain't. There's nothing that you got to deal with that somebody else ain't been through. You just gotta own that shit and don't tell your story to every freaking body. Find the person or the people or the persons that you can work with and trust enough to talk about those insecurities, those issues that you're dealing with. Because some people, if you ain't careful when you vet them, they're gonna have your shit in the street, and that's
Yeah,
not what you're looking for. That does not mean that you're inauthentic. It means that you have trusted individuals. Because I bet you Obama, his best friends don't even know they're his best friends. He just has that person to talk to vent to, right? And when I'm governor and I gotta call my counsel and I call Don, I know that whatever me and Don talk about ain't gonna be in the streets. He'll be able to tell me, all right, nah, nigga, get this shit straight. or he's gonna say, "Good job, just add this to it." Whatever it is, he'll make sure that you don't get in the way of you, and that's what I think your friends and your compadres and the people on the same line as you stop you from doing. They're gonna push you when you need to push, but they're gonna restrain you when you need to be restrained. That matters.
Yeah, 100%. I would only add. Yeah, go ahead, Leroy.
Before you close, Don, I want to say this. Even Jesus, even though he had the 12, but even within that 12, he had 3 that he only took to the mountain with him, a transfiguration. That was his core. There were only 3 that he was like, "Nah, y'all get to see this side of me." And brothers, understand that you have to have a core group of men. That you can have the good brothers around you, but you gotta have a core that you can lean on for sure, like Coach just said, that you lean on, and that hey, I need to holler at you. Let's go and talk about it. But I just wanted to mention that.
I absolutely agree with that. Let me push the conversation a bit, and we can pick it up again next week, right? There's a difference between sharing my stuff with brothers. You okay? You see it? Where is it? My wife saw a lizard. She gone. You should see this girl. She is gone. There's a difference. Like when I want to grow, right? If I want to grow and I want to be held accountable, I'm gonna call Leroy. I'm gonna call Coach. I'm gonna call Jamal. I'm gonna call Dad. Like I've got people in my life that I can call. The only area I want to push on that we can talk about next week is this. I agree when we say, look, you want to vet the people that you share with. I agree with that. I don't have any challenges with that. But it's also the reason why most brothers hold everything in, because they don't feel like they can trust anybody. At a certain point, you got to be courageous enough to share. Jesus, to use the same example about Jesus, to Leroy's point, takes 3. He's got 12. He's got 40. He's got 70. Right? Like he's got this, but he's publicly humiliated. He don't give a doggone. He's laid out in the cross, publicly humiliated, with everybody watching. Can I tell you, brothers, that takes courage. It takes courage to open up your life, your public humiliation, your shame, like Coach just did. Coach doesn't know how many people are going to watch this live. He just said to the world, I lost $1 million to gambling.
Yeah.
Right? Now, he says that after he got his life together, but it doesn't matter even if he would have said it as he was in the struggle. Can I tell you, as a man, I couldn't care less what people think about me. It just doesn't matter to me anymore. What matters to me is that I want to be helped, and I want to grow, and I want to develop with every situation that I go through, because every tribulation leads to character development, right? And this is the last thing that I will say. Dr. Miles Monroe said this, and I think it's a powerful statement. He said, you don't get an opportunity to be a leader in any space and have a private life.
Facts.
You don't get it. You don't get the opportunity. The moment you step into leadership, this whole idea that this is a private matter, all that's out the window. There are no private matters, right? Live your life in such a way that if it goes on display, you good with it. Right? So as men, brothers, develop the 3, develop the 12, develop the 70, develop them, right? Develop that group. Like these brothers that are on this live with me, I can count on them. I had to deal with one of the most difficult things in my life and ministry. And the first thing that Walter Sellers is, you need me there? Do you need me there? Because if you need me there, I'm there. I said, no, bro, I'm good. Do you need me there? Right?
That's the part. What I say, Jesus had Peter. You need me to come.
Jesus had,
Yep.
Jesus
I
had
tell
Peter.
you, every group needs a Peter. I'm sorry, y'all. You need that dude that's willing to cut an
100%.
ear off. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. So
Listen, I know Negroes. But
I want everyone to remember, don't do it in isolation, and don't spend all your time disproving people. Don't spend all your time disproving people, right? Develop the courage to say, to like Coach said, Coach don't know whether he can trust the room of individuals that he's got to go in and say, hey y'all, my name is Walter Sellers, and I got a gambling addiction. He knows the rules of the room, but if anyone decided, do you know Walter Sellers was in the room? He's got to
yep.
be courageous enough to deal with it anyway. So what I want brothers to be able to reach at the end of this is, brothers, look, you need somebody. Every battle that you face, whether you know it or not, has taken a mental toll, and you're going to have to deal with it. And you can't deal with it in isolation. You got to deal with it in community, and all of us get a chance to grow. We get the freedom and give permission for others to grow as well. I love and respect you, brothers. Let's go out this way. Talk with you guys on next week.
All right, brothers.
Well,
Peace.
All right, later.
Dr. Donald Morton.
Donald Morton.
Dr. Donald Morton.
Dr. Donald Morton.
Dr. Donald Morton. Dr. Donald Morton is an award-winning social entrepreneur known for his innovative social solutions.
Based on this fatherhood and manhood issue in droves, in incredibly large numbers. And I felt it necessary
It's a big
for
listen.
someone to have a voice like yourself to do the work of restoring men in our society. And I've been doing that work ever since.
His latest solution is expressed as the CEO of Remand.
So Remand, the nonprofit, is about helping brothers that are coming out of prison, brothers that are dealing with child support, brothers that are the most marginalized of our communities, helping them with their character and the institutions that impact them. And then the LLC, our for-profit arm, is really attempting to address the CEOs and CFOs and entrepreneurs and people like that say, look, I got issues too as a black man. My issues are a bit different because I'm in the C-suite. And how it plays out in the C-suite is very different than how it plays out on the block and those brothers that are coming out of re-entry. But here's a deal. All of us the same, for real, for real.
Dr. Morton is the former executive director of the Complexities of Color Coalition. As executive director of the coalition, he worked to congregate Wilmington, Delaware's African American community in order to create comprehensive strategy to influence institutions, policies, and laws. Dr. Morton has over 25 years of experience in African American community leadership. Remand is deeply personal. While he's glad that thousands of men are on this journey with him, it was started because he needed liberation. He was broken and bound, and he was fighting to put his life back together after divorce, infidelity, business challenges, bankruptcy, and a life destroyed by being the worst liar ever. Yes, Dr. Morton was a liar until he faced himself and proved his signature science, the character arc. Then and only then was he ready to lead men to learn and live the science of being remanded.